Welcome everyone to a Kings of War Tournament Report. I'm Visibly Riley, and today I thought I'd walk us through an event I went to last weekend, June 9th and 10th, 2018 in Portland, Oregon, called Cascade Clash. Now, this was obviously a two-day event and we had 65-minute timed turns on top of being 2250. It was nice to kind of get back to this, as since the fall of Warhammer, I haven't had a chance to go to a lot of two-day events, as most of the games I play are more skirmish-oriented, or at least have been for the past couple of years. So it felt nice to just sort of travel down, do your 5-game event, 3 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday. Classic. First off, obviously I brought my Ogres, which I've been painting and playing for the past couple weeks, and I played against a fellow named Dustin with his Abyssal Dwarves. Now, Dustin's list was very shooty, which was worrisome to me, as we were playing Occupy, and I don't know, that amount, you'll see it in a second here, but he has quite a bit of artillery, and our table, he could see a lot of the area that we could actually place these objectives on, so I was a little worried. Here we see most of his list. Now, there's 115 points missing, but I think I know what those points are. As we walk through, I will make note of that. First off, it's Abyssal Dwarves, no allies, just straight dwarves. He has 3 regiments of Immortal Guard. One has Kappa's Holy Hand Grenades, one has the Brew of Strength, and I think the 2 that don't have hand grenades also have Throwing Mastiffs, which I'm actually a huge fan of, so kudos to Dustin for bringing him. We have a horde of decimators. I think that they were elite as well. A regiment of slave orcs, a troop of slave orc gore riders, a horde of grotesques, 2 mortars, 3 rocket launchers, a slave driver with diadem, ironcaster with surge and inspiring talisman, a greater obsidian golem, and then 2 regiments of mutated mastiff hunting packs with mutated throwing mastiffs as well, because put a dog upon it. Now, I actually like a lot of this list. The parts I don't like are the artillery pieces, as I don't think artillery offers that much to the game, honestly. That is almost 500 points spent on artillery, which is, very hit or miss. Obviously, that 5+ to hit. And I feel like a lot of times it's going to help you win more, as in win in situations where you were already going to win, or you would have won without dice rolls if you just spent the 500-ish points on units instead, or they're going to miss and lose you the entire fucking game. So I'm just not a big fan. I think that some pieces of artillery adds a lot to the list, maybe 2 rockets and a mortar, or 2 mortars and a rocket if you want to go heavy, but 5 pieces is just too many. Personal opinion. But I do like the rest of the list. I agree with his use of all the magic items, shooting items, like the hand grenades and the diadem and the fireball and all that stuff. I really like it because the Abyssal Dwarves have Vicious, obviously, as their army rule, and on top of having very high toughness. So it just adds so much to being able to, especially when you're speed 4, very low speed, to be able to reach out and touch people, as opposed to just getting countercharged all the time. You can take a punch, you can deliver a punch at ranged, you have the army special rules that benefit all types of attacks, so it just seems like a good fit to me. I'm going to run through this game pretty quickly, as I've had some recording problems today, so trying to just get this one out. Here we see the deployment almost finished, but my opponent, Dustin, still has a few units to deploy, but I'll go over those in the end. Here we have, starting from the Ogres left to right, we have both the hordes of boomers. The outer edge have the fire oil, the inside have the healing potion. Then we have Grakagamok. We have Grakagamok's finest braves. Those are the converted executioner man-eater style guys. Excuse me 1 second. Too much beer. Directly in front of the Loot Warlock, who has Drain Life and the Loot of Insatiable Darkness, or Insatiable Sadness if you want to hit it. And then to the right of them, we have No More Garak, right there. To the right of that, we have the first Goblin Bigot on Wolf. Then we have their first regiment of Braves. Behind them, the last Warlock. This one has Banner the Griffin and Drain Life. I know he looks a lot like a BSB, but I just didn't want to paint another one of these stupid butcher models. I have so many of them, they're all fine crap. I couldn't do it. So this guy got put in instead. Plus he has Banner the Griffin. It fits. Then we have the second unit, or the second regiment of Braves, directly in front of my warriors, who have the Brew of Strength. Then the last regiment of Braves, off to the right, behind that hill that's sort of peeking out, is also my last Goblin Bigot, trying to get around to that artillery. I like a lot of, I like this list, kind of. I don't think I should be the one piloting it, is really what I'm trying to get at. I'm not very good at it. And when I get really aggressive, and with an elite list like this, where there's so few, well, it's a medium drop list, but if things go poorly, they go downhill really fast, so there aren't a whole lot of things I would change. The one thing I would make a change for in a heartbeat is that the boomers with the fire oil should not have fire oil. They should have the rallying stone, the 5-point item that gives you +1 to your waiver. Making them be a 16-17, I just like that a lot more. Moving on. Yeah, Dustin actually wins the right to choose who goes first, and obviously chooses to go first, as he has so much artillery. And we actually didn't walk through his army, so let's do that real quick. So from left to right, we've got the slave orcs on gore riders. Those are some sort of goblin on wolves. Behind them are the beautiful Forge World bull centaurs running as grotesques. In front of them, he's got some really nice counts as mastiffs with those little embers. And you can see these little flying fire demons or djinn around the table. Those are his throwing mastiffs. I really like that idea, as the War Machine player in me would just put out some tokens and call it good, but it's always nice to see someone going the extra mile. They're on round, clear acrylic bases, so you're not going to get confused about them being models. I just think it's wonderful. Behind that little house, he's got his BSB. I think literally behind the house, like out of our line of sight, is where the wizard is. Then we have the Greater Obsidian Golem right behind that wall. To the right of him, we have the Horde of Decimators. To the right of them, we've got our first unit of Immortals. To the right of them, we've got the Immortals with the Brew of Strength and a Throwing Mastiff. Then some more mutated Mastiff hunting packs, the Regiment of Orcs, and then to the right of them, slightly off camera, we have the, what are they, the Holy Hand Grenade Immortal Regiment. And behind there, we've got his converted Chaos Dwarf Artillery. I really like them. They're simple, they get to the point, and they're unique, so really nice. The guys with the lightning bolts on top of them, those are all the rockets. Then the two guys in the middle, those are the mortars. I thought this was especially good placement by Dustin as well, because I can't actually get around on the left side because of his refused flank. And to come on the right, it kind of looks like I could get in on those mortars, but there actually isn't enough landing space because of how he angled the bases for me to land, so I have to go through these these stupid rockets first, which obviously I want to hit the mortars, not the rockets, with my army. But I couldn't get to it with the little goblin, so I thought that was good placement, whether intentional or not. Here we see his turn 1. He actually, this is his turn 1 for movement. Mostly he just rolls forward with the dwarves, which is an interesting idea with that much shooting. But the mortars, he hits with 2 mortars and 2 rockets onto one of my hordes of boomers and just immediately decimates them. I think it's something like 15 wounds or crazy amount, just one-shot kill. And then the last, rocket, not to be outdone, puts 2 wounds on one of my braves, just to add insult to injury. That was a rough turn. Anytime someone brings 5 pieces of artillery and all 5 of them hit, that's going to be a rough game. Over here, yeah, you can see that little gaping hole. That's where my boomers used to be. Those were the healing brew ones, so they'll be healing themselves in hell, I guess. This is my movement. I rolled most of my army forward. On the left flank here, my remaining horde of boomers move forward to help protect Grok. But at the same time, I really like their positioning, because his left side, besides those grotesques, is very weak. Maybe he could roll the Obsidian Golem over here and mess with me, but I don't think he will. So he's got a pretty weak excuse me, flank over here. And I'm trying to exploit that. He can either ignore me, and I will shoot him and or go for a charge if I can get a flank, or he can charge me with those Gore Riders. And if he does that, I don't think he'll do enough damage to do anything, and it'll just give me a free unit. Lastly, if he moves the Grotesques and or the Mastiffs on top of that hill, I'll be able to see them with Grok over my unit of Boomers, and because he's nimble, I will be able to nimble charge him. So I really like this placement over here. You know, kind of getting how the game works, I guess. Yeah, the rest of the army just moves forward. I'm slightly out of charge range for all these things, but I'm tempting him to come in because I don't have nearly the shooting he does, so I need to force that choice. In the middle, the warriors and those braves decide to stay behind that little forest as it's protecting me from getting just shelled to hell with those mortars and rockets. And I think that if he walks into the forest, I will be able to make more of that than he will. You know, my braves will only hit on a 5 versus his guys on a 4, but I'm not super worried about it as I don't think I can take that much damage. Or I think I can take the damage. I throw some lightning bolts around, and I think I've caused 1 wound on the immortals somewhere. Yeah, here's the rest of my right flank, just protecting against those orcs. And I think that this was actually a mistake he made, is that the orcs... Oh, they must have hit that wall. Yeah. I think the orcs should have been a little bit farther forward, as they're speed 5 versus speed 4. It could add a lot. Yeah, I put 1 wound onto one of the regiments of immortals, the one without a magic item. And obviously they're dash 17, so that doesn't do a whole lot, but meh. Another thing about this game store, a lot of people like Guardian games. I'm not trying to poo-poo it. I'm just saying that they have very harsh lighting in there. It's really hard to take any pictures of your armies or your games because it's all very harsh overhead lighting. It's all very uneven, and yeah, you'll just see a lot of pictures like this. That was a little disappointing for me, as some people had some really cool armies that I wish I had some better pictures of. Yeah, over here, the Gore Riders go into my Boomers. I think they do 3 wounds, not enough to do anything, and the box grows to scare them. Doesn't happen. Yeah, here we see my turn too. The Ogres decide to just charge as much as they can. I send these guys, the Braves, into this Hunting Mastiff pack. I think they threw some dogs at him, caused a wound, didn't do a whole lot. My idea here was that I will blow through the Hunting pack, and then just, as long as I advance, 2 or 3 inches forward, get a 2+, 3+, I'll be out of line of sight from the Slave Orcs and the Immortals, and I can start threatening his backline. But Dustin questions me on the rules here, and I think he's right. I haven't had a chance to check for myself, but I think he's right here, which is when I'm advancing, I still have to stay 1 inch away from enemy units, and I'm too wide for that. So instead, I roll 1 inch forward. By the way, I did roll it. Rolled a 1, so I go forward, and then I just get pushed back. So happens. Over here we have, oops. Did I go? Hold on. Hold please. Okay, yeah. So he also shot everything last turn to go back a bit. He shot everything he had into Grok's finest. All the mortars, all the rockets, the decimators got in range. Everything shot into Grok's finest. And he does 10 wounds to them. But they're dash 20 with that Banner of the Griffin, so he ends up not doing that well, and Grox are now in charge range of his decimators, which is unfortunate. Here we see, I think he threw some Mastiffs at these Braves, which is why they have 3 wounds, but regardless. Yeah, Grok's finest go right into the decimators. I'm hoping to, get some lucky rolls, maybe waver them, hopefully kill them, obviously, but they're like 21, 23, that's pretty unlikely. I send these Braves into the Greater Obsidian Golem, and in retrospect, I think that maybe the Braves and Grok's Finest should have gone into the Obsidian Golem. I'm pretty chronically underestimating or overestimating the abilities of Braves, so I don't know, maybe that would have been a better idea, but I did what I did. Over here, yeah, Grok's Finest put 11 wounds onto the Decimators, which is pretty good, but not enough to scare them or obviously kill them, so unfortunate. Yep, they back off. Over here, yeah, I actually do get that nimble charge onto the grotesques as they roll up onto the hill, become height 5, and Grok just nimbles around my boomers, charges them right in the face. He puts 8 wounds on him, which is pretty good, but not enough to shake him, so, a little unfortunate, but it's still nice. Yeah, the boomers, you can see, easily wipe these slave gore riders out and turn to face the table. I'm really happy with this positioning, as I can either charge the grotesques on the flank if they charge Grok and don't kill him. They can charge the mastiffs in the flank if they move forward. They can shoot the BSB. They can do so many things. I really like that. Yeah, you can see the Braves do 3 wounds to that Greater Obsidian Golem. Obviously, not enough. Dash 18. And yeah, this is the end of my turn. I think I also tried to cast some Drain Life around, but it doesn't do a whole lot. The last thing to make a note of are the 2 Goblin Bigots, who one is obviously rolling around to charge some artillery, and the last one charged into the Immortals right in front of my BSB, or not BSB, my Banner the Griffin Warlock. The idea here was that he could hold them up for a turn. I'm exactly out of 6, so even if he kills my Goblin overruns, it won't get enough. Or, I'm sorry, exactly out of 7, because I'll be pushed back 1. So we can't really get that overrun. Yeah, this is his turn. He takes a juicy flank charge, 2 actually, into those Braves that killed those Mastiffs. The first blood for me got those Mastiffs. Yeah, so he's taking the double flank. That's unfortunate, but I'm still okay with it because I have that horde of warriors and another regiment of Braves over there on top of my magic, so not super worried. He sends the Decimators into the front of Grok's Finest, and that's okay, but then the flank, the surge flank from the Greater Obsidian Golem shows up, and oof, I really should just double charge the Obsidian Golem. I'm not sure what I was thinking. Especially as I had Nomar right there and the loot, so I could get, double crushing and vicious if I wanted it. Just dumb. He sends the last regiment of Massives into the Braves. I don't think that this was a good idea. It's just throwing them away. It stops him from being able to charge his Obsidian Golem, provided he kills Grok's Finest again, but what's the point of that? If he kills him, it'll be in the front. I've only got 15 attacks on 4s and my wound on 5s. Not great odds. It's only got 3 wounds on it. Here's the surprise, though. He actually takes the grotesques and backs away from Grok, because he's decided to just shell me with mortars. And this is sort of why I don't like artillery, because it's almost 500 points. He needs to be getting something out of that, obviously, right? So he's decided to just shell Grok, which could go great, right? But he only hits me on 5s, which that's just too dicey. I think that if he'd had, I guess, what is that, 45 points, so 455 points, just in units, or at least 200 points in units over here to protect the grotesques instead, I think that just would have been a more solid investment, personally. Over there on the right, we have the Holy Hand Grenade guys just bringing up the rear of those orcs. Not much else they can do. I think they lob a grenade at my warriors or at my Braves and miss it. Yeah, here's a close-up of the combat. My Goblin, it looks like he did a wound to those Immortals, so go Goblin. Yep, close-up of that combat, cool. Yeah, his artillery only puts 2 wounds on Grok, which, he needs a boxcar to waver him, doesn't get it. It's just, not good enough. Over here, yeah, we have the Obsidian Golem. I think the Greater Obsidian Golem is all we roll for the Decimators, because it does so well that it puts me on double ones, and he easily blows through him. He does 2 wounds to my Berserker Braves in the front with those Hunting Mastiffs. It's a 10, maybe an 11. That looks like a long 6 to me, so probably a 10 twice to kill him. Not really worth it. And easily kills my Goblin Bigot and just reforms to face directly ahead. And, yeah, easily kills that Berserker Braves he charged in the flank with the Immortals with Brute Strength and the Orcs. On my turn, This is actually skipped forward a turn. I didn't get any pictures of mine as, the game was really starting to heat up, but this is a better explanation of what happened than that last picture, which is on my turn, I send the Braves into the hunting massives that easily kill them. Grok goes into the grotesques and drops them. I think they regened a couple wounds, but not enough to stop Grok from just punching them in the face until they were dead. My boomers move forward to shoot into excuse me, his BSB and put a couple wounds on him, but not enough to do anything. My goblin goes into his rocket and does 2 wounds, or well, yeah, it looks like 2 wounds, 2 or 3 wounds. Wow, with only 3 attacks and winning on a 5+, that's pretty stellar. And then my Berserker Braves and Warriors, which if we go back, yeah, right here, they crisscross. So I've got the Braves go into those Immortals directly in front of them in the flank of the forward Braves, while my Warriors decide to go to the left Immortals, the ones who are currently fighting that Goblin. The idea here was I don't think my Braves can do anything, but they need to get the fuck out of the way, so they move into the woods, and I couldn't see anything else. And I think the Warriors can maybe kill those Immortals, especially if I can get some lucky Drain Lives here. Well, just good Drain Lives, because I've got Drain, I think, 14 right now, pretty easily. So, yeah, so I try to go into him. We crisscross. I put 8 more wounds, or 8 or 9 more wounds onto the Immortals that my Warriors charge, but it's not enough. Even with Nomar giving them Vicious and an additional Crushing and the Drain Life, I just flub some rolls. Doesn't work. The Berserker Braves go, yeah, they do 2 wounds or 1 wound or something like that in the Immortals that they charge. Not really worried about that. Then his turn shows up. He has 1 rocket that can't shoot, but who cares? And then everything else can shoot or charge. So he takes the Decimators, turns them towards Grok. This is a bit of a Hail Mary, I think, because if he fails it, right, Grok will just either wavered, walk up the hill, and just wait a turn, or he'll charge him. So it's a messy idea there. Also, because he put the BSB directly in front of them, like that's maybe a 4-inch overrun. That's not great. And then he decides to put the Greater Obsidian Golem into the front of the Berserker Braves. Don't worry about the fact that it looks like it's their butt. None of my models like to fight anything in the front, I guess. So he puts that there, and then the Immortals both countercharge, or 1 countercharges into the Warriors. The other one decides to take the flank charge, which is not a countercharge, but still pretty good because they've got brute strength into my Warriors. The Slave Orcs take that flank into my Berserker Braves, but considering they only hit on 6s, I'm not super worried about it. Yeah, so on his turn here, he ends up, hold on, is there a, yeah, this is actually the last picture I took of the game, so sorry about that. Yeah, he actually ends up flubbing these rolls pretty badly. The Warriors, I mean, the Orcs weren't going to do a whole lot there, but they end up obviously not killing those Berserker Braves that they're in the flank of. But then the Immortals end up, man, they must have only put like 5 wounds on those Warriors, which is pretty terrible. Not even wavered, so they don't care. The Obsidian Golem puts 6 wounds onto my Berserker Braves, which is great, but then rolls like a 3 for the break chest and doesn't get through them. So, but the one good thing that happens, the rest of his artillery all shoots at Grok. They all miss because artillery. The one good thing that happens, those Decimators put 11 wounds on Grok, which is, I think, pretty crazy, but you know what? Crazy stuff happens. So, puts 11 wounds onto Grok and just blows him out of the water. I think like 10 and 11 for the break checks. So, he's dead. So, Grok's gone. Gambit paid off, but we'll see how the game goes. On my turn, 6 now, I believe. Turn 5, sorry. So turn 5, the Berserker Braves go into that Obsidian Golem right in the front. My Warriors countercharge the Immortals that charge them in the flank, just because they have the brute strength. And then my Berserker Braves, instead of countercharging the Orcs, decide to take that flank onto the Immortals just to help out the Warriors. And I think that was a pretty good decision, as I'm planning to just drain down the Immortals with 11 wounds right now. Drain and maybe hit him with Nomar as well. So, go for that. Goblin goes into the rocket again. I end up draining those immortals for 6 wounds, which is pretty nuts. I heal all 6 of the greater obsidian golems damage off of those berserker braves on the left. With it, it's just nice. And the immortals that got hit with that drain life just pop, gone, because they were sitting on 17 wounds. I want to say at that point. And then Nomar originally wants to. Oh, I'm sorry. The boomers on the left there. Yeah, that's what happens. They move forward and shoot into the decimators. And this is all a little out of order. I shot this first to see how many wounds I would do to the decimators because they need to be gone. I need to get rid of the decimators. Then I can worry about the immortals, so on and so forth. Right. So they roll pretty well and end up putting enough wounds onto the decimators that I need a 2 to scare them. Right. So they must be at 19. So 2 to scare, 4 to kill. And yeah, I end up killing the decimators. I kill the immortals with my drain life, so shooting's going great. Then in combat, I kill the immortals that are fighting my warriors and braves in the forest, so that's great. I turn to face towards the orcs. Although I think, yeah, we all turn to the right. I think my warriors turned all the way around to face the hand grenade guys. Then the obsidian golem it's taken like six-ish wounds, 6 to 8 wounds at this point, and it's fine. So whatever. So yeah, at the end of my turn 5, we are down to. And my goblin kills that rocket. So take that, dwarves. So we have at the end of my turn 5, he has 2 rockets, 2 mortars, BSB with the diadem, a wizard, the greater obsidian golem, the hand grenade immortals, and the slave orcs left. Versus I have 2 regiments of berserker braves. One has 5 wounds on it, and then the warriors who have a couple wounds on them at this point. All 3 wizards, and 1 goblin. So I'm feeling pretty good about. Oh, and the boomer horde. Yeah, feeling pretty good about this game so far. His turn 6, he moves the regiment of immortals with the hand grenades forward to try to. He needs to both get enough damage to kill my warriors, as they're primed to countercharge right now. So he only gets to move, not to march at his objective, that gold little symbol down there. But he had to go around the forest anyway, and so not a bad idea. So he just moves over there. The orcs charged the front of my berserker braves. I think that was a big mistake because I think he should have just sat there, as both of us are I'm looking for him to charge me, hit on 6s, so get nothing pretty much. Then I countercharge him on 4s, since neither of us have Pathfinder. So I think he should have just sat. But regardless, this is not what he does. All the artillery just points right at my warriors. The hand grenade points at my warriors. All the wizards point at my warriors, just ready to get shit done. The greater obsidian golem goes back into the braves, not noticing that he has opened his flank up to my boomers. So that's not great for him. So his shooting, I think all the mortars miss again, and I think that the rockets miss as well. Let's just check. Yeah, they miss. But the hand grenade hits my warriors. No, I'm sorry, the rockets all miss. The hand grenade hits my warriors and puts, I don't know, like 5 wounds on them or some obscene amount. And then both the mortars hit and just wipe them out. Just like 15 wounds, bam, they're dead. So they're gone. The orcs that charge in my berserker braves do nothing. That's expected. And then the obsidian golem puts another 3 or 4 wounds onto my berserker braves, but since they healed 6 last turn, they're still looking pretty good, and they do not die. On my turn 6, again playing for turn 7, I charge my berserker braves, or countercharge the berserker braves into those slave orcs, and decide to take all my wizards, one of which turns around and just blocks the path of those immortals running towards the objective, because they're about like 8 inches from the center of it, I want to say, which means that they could run or from the center of his unit, right, to get that majority. But he could run to go get it, but if he charges me, he needs between a 3 and a 4, I can't remember exactly which, to actually get it if he kills this wizard. So I move the wizard over. It's not the flag guy. I think it's the loot guy goes over there, and Yeah, so he'll need to, get through that Def 4 and then 13, 15, I think, for the Ogre Warlocks. So that's the idea there. I still have some Drain Life to cast if I want. And Nomar can shoot if he wants. Not really a big deal. I do get the flank on the Greater Obsidian Golem with my Boomers and the front with my Berserker Braves, so that's pretty good. And then the Goblin goes into the next little rocket. So for combat here, I end up killing the Orcs with my Berserker Braves, and they overrun out of the woods, which is good and bad. It makes it so if there's a turn 7, I can walk over to my primary objective and grab it, but it also makes it so, well, I guess he doesn't take minuses for shooting, so never mind, just good. So that's pretty good. So, the Hand Grenade guys take a couple of wins from Drain Life, but they're fine. And Lightning Bolt, I think one of them had to shoot Lightning Bolt because he was too far away. The Greater Obsidian Golem gets just rocked by Boomers in the flank. It's just too much for him. He's dead. And then I think maybe I tried to shoot some wizards. Nothing really happened there. So, we roll, and since I'm player 2, I roll, and we do play a turn 7. So he sends the Immortals into my wizard, trying to kill it off, and all the guns go into various things. He fireballs, or breath attacks my Berserker Braves to kill them off, the ones with 5 wounds there in the bottom left that have been fighting the Greater Obsidian Golem. They die. And then all the artillery goes into various things. I think most of it goes into my Berserker Braves that are heading towards my primary objective, but at least one of them can't see them, so he shoots at a wizard instead, I want to say, or maybe the Boomers. Either way, it doesn't happen. And then moves his remaining characters in my way, so I can't get to any of the objectives. He ends up not killing any of these units, except for the Berserker Braves that had been fighting the Greater Obsidian Golem, the guys on the left there. They die. But he doesn't kill the wizard that was fighting him, so he's already lost the game. On my turn 7, I send the Goblin into his rocket again, trying to kill it. It doesn't work, and then otherwise I just move over onto the objective with my Berserker Braves on the right there for a pretty easy victory. So I don't think I scored enough VPs to get any attrition points, so it's a 15-5 to the Ogres. My thoughts on this, I really liked how this game played out. I think it's one of the best ones I've played with the Ogres. I don't know how much of that is maybe matchup, how much of that is that there weren't double ones in this game, like no one rolled it, it was just fine, and how much of it was just his artillery. It was okay, right? It did about what I expect out of artillery, but, it was missing that timing, right? Like, it hit, on average, the amount it should hit. I hate saying that. The amount that statistically is probable for it to hit. But it didn't hit at the correct times. Like, turn 1 was great. Turn 5, not so much, right? So on and so forth. Yeah, I really like these matchups. I think that this is one of the better games I've played. So I hope you guys join me next time. If you've got any comments, suggestions about this game or, my list in general, I'm very open to hearing them. I love hearing commentary. But yeah, until next time. Later.